Hello everyone, welcome back to another Flesh and Blood video. In this one, we're back taking a look at Rhinar Reckless Rampage since he's getting a brand new Armory deck in a day. Like literally the day after this goes up, the deck will be released. So let's talk about him. Rhinar is a 4 intellect, 40 health brute hero. He has the ability when you discard a card with power 6 or more during your own action phase, you intimidate. Intimidating is making your opponent banish a card from their hand face down, and then they get it back at the end phase. Rhinar's really good at hitting through very defensive decks, but really bad against very aggressive decks because they don't care if they take damage. For equipment, we're playing Romping Club, as this is sort of a hybrid list. You care about your weapon a bit, so we're on Club, but you could also just play good go-again attacks. Claw isn't the best for the deck, although we are on Blood Rush Bellow, but I think Club is really the answer you want to go with for at least this deck. We're also playing Scowling Fleshbag, as it's probably just the best helmet in the game. Straight up. We're playing Savage Sash because we do want the pop-off potential. We don't really need the tunic. There weren't many times where I wished I had one tunic. Yes, there are times where your hand does brick, so you can play tunic if you want to, but since this is a hybrid list, we are planning to have some pretty aggressive turns. Savage Sash really helps with that. Apex Bonebreaker is going to be our glove of choice. There is one card in the deck that is the reason why. It's not a card on the main board, so you could play Tyrannical Rex if you want, but I never really found myself having an extra resource. And when I did, I really didn't care that these weren't Tyrannical Rex. I more care about times where I want to actually defend, take a sort of an off turn, still be able to throw some good damage, and just block with a card in the Bonebreakers to get the Might token. And then finally, Scabskin Leathers. Don't roll these. They're in the deck because they block 3. We are on beaten trackers, though, for the inventory when we bring in our Savage Feast. For the actual deck, we have a 54-card main board, so which means we're going to be adding in 6 from our inventory pretty much every game. Starting with our attacks, we're playing 6 copies of Buck Wild. This is a 3 for 7 at red, 3 for 6 at yellow. That is go again if we have a 6 power card in our pitch zone. We do have a lot of the blue yellows in our deck, the yellow 6s in our deck. 4 of them to be specific. Well, 5 of them technically, because other yellow Buck Wilds, so that's 15. And then we have 6 blue 6 powers, thanks to the brand new card Alpha Instinct that we'll talk about in a little bit. This is a really good aggressive card. If we have a blue plus a yellow 6 or a blue 6 plus a yellow, we can go Buck Wild into weapon and get some pretty nice damage. For the rest of our red attacks, these are just like really good red brute cards. Swing Big and the new Show of Strength are just 2 for 8s that come in for a lot of damage. And Splatter Skull is a really good card in Rhinar as it adds disruption that he definitely just doesn't have. This plus Send Packing are cards that are really good versus all of our aggro matchups because this makes them block or they lose a card. Same as something like Strongest Survive, which is also in this deck at a yellow version. For the yellow attacks, we play 3 copies of Bear Swing. This is a new card. It gets +2 if we don't have a chess piece and we've beaten chess this turn. Beating chess is very easy, and not having a chess piece is simply just activating it or defending with it. So this can be a 3 for 8. Yes, it does require another card, but that also gives us an Intimidate. Really, you can play any yellow 6 here that isn't one of the ones in the deck. You could play Smash Instinct instead. I think that's probably the better one to play is Smash Instinct in this slot, but I want to play the new card, so this is Bear Swing for right now. And then we're playing Sea Legs, just because we are an aggressive deck. The Go Again is really nice. We will use it. Send Packing, also you can, technically, you can use the rum on your Scabskin Leathers to get the extra action points if you wanted to. Just saying. That is pretty funny. Although you should just guarantee you get the 2 action points by playing the attacks. Send Packing is like an Arsenal Intimidate, and they don't get the card back if this hits them. So again, more disruption. Strongest Survive makes them reveal a card from their hand with power greater than the damage dealt, or they discard a card. Again, more disruption. You're generally never playing these yellow 6s, but they're in the deck for reasons. If you have to play them, you will. Other than Buckwild, you are obviously playing the yellow Buckwild. And then for our blues, 3 Wrecker Romp because it's been the blue 6 forever, and 3 of the new Alpha Instinct. This is a Rhinar spec. It is 0 block, but that's good because that means it doesn't get discarded by Strongest Survive. If we discard it to beat chest, we make a Might token. So just some extra power there. For the rest of the main board, we have a lot of non-attack actions. 6 copies of Bonebreaker Bellow, which is a 1 for 3 at red or a 1 for 1 at blue, but gets an extra +2 if we beat chest this turn, and it has beat chest itself. The 3 yellow and blue barraging beatdown for the free Intimidate and upside of sometimes you get more damage. The 3 Blood Rush Bellow because we are an aggressive brute deck. We do really like the Blood Rush Bellow here. We have a lot of 6s. We have easy ways to pitch for it since we have enough blues in our deck. And we can easily double attack with Rum or with something like Buckwild. And then the final new card, Smell Fear. This one is at yellow and blue. It has beat chest. If we've beaten chest this turn, we Intimidate. And our next brute attack this turn gains if we have intimidated 2 or more times. This gets +3 or +2 at blue. Obviously, Brute wants to play a lot of Brute cards. The only card in this deck that isn't, or at least in the main board, that isn't Brute is Sea Legs, and that's because we want to be discarding it. So this is pretty much a Brute card. Pretty much, you want a lot of Brute cards. That's what I'm saying. Every pump in the deck works specifically with Brute cards or Brute attacks, not Brute attack actions. Part of the reason why Bear Destruction is not in this deck, because that card only affects attack actions. Romping Club is a brute attack, not an attack action, so all of these pumps will affect it, but Bear Destruction won't. Mainly the reason why Bear Destruction is not in the deck, even though we are on the Savage Dash. Moving on to the inventory, we do have 3 pieces of equipment. Skullhorn for Kano and Verdance, because they do a lot of arcane damage and not a lot of physical damage for us to Fleshbag. Norrin Gloves for all of the wizards except Acilio, because you probably just race them and you want Bone Breakers because it's more value. And for all the Rune Blades as well, because Norrin Gloves is 1 AB and you only need 1 AB. And then we're playing Beaten Trackers. This will come in any matchup we play Savage Feast, because Beaten Trackers only triggers on a random discard, and this and Bloodish Bellow are the only 2 random discards inside of the deck now. Technically Wrecker Romp, but you're not playing this card, ever. You're not playing it out, ever, dude. Never. Unless it's like the end of your deck. Even if it's the end of your deck, Swinging Club has to be better unless the Intim from Rhinar literally wins you the game. I guess, or if you have, a hand good enough to do both. Sure, but whatever. Doesn't matter. You're never doing it. Also, by that point, you'll have used them on the Savage Feast. The rest of the inventory is pretty standard stuff except Flex Speed, but we'll talk about that at the end. Show No Mercy isn't good versus the aggro decks because they don't care. They'll just take the damage. But against the slower decks that care more about their life total, this is very, very powerful. It's an Intimidate by itself, and if they ever have no cards in their hand, it gets 3 more. If you can Intim 3, you put them in a situation to keep the last card in their hand and take 9, usually, or block with their last card and take 9, because they now have no cards in their hand. 3 copies of Sink Below is a good defensive option. 2 copies of Take It on the Chin and Reckless Swing for our more aggro matchups versus Syndra mainly. Take It on the Chin is going to be the big advantage. Also Assassin, because this stops their flicks. If you wanted to, instead of Take It on the Chin, you can play Shelter from the Storm. And even instead of the Reckless Swing, you can play Shelter from the Storm. But this is the cheaper option, as Shelter from the Storm is still very expensive. And also, I only own 1, so that's why I'm playing the 2 Take It on the Chins. 3 copies of Bam Bam for some equipment destruction, for some item destruction. This card is a free discard, which means we can use it with Rhinar on our turn to get an Intimidate, as well as versus matchups like Mechanologist. It's just a very good card. You can play it against Gravy as well, I will say. Against Gravy, you can go down Strongest Survive, since that card doesn't really do much in that matchup for Bam Bam, because, it's a discard. And also, I can destroy their gold tokens. So it's a plus there, which is actually really nice. And then also any matchup where, you know, they might play a random item, sure. Like against Verdants, I could see this as well if you know they're on potions, because this can get a potion from them. And then the last card in the deck, funny enough, is Flex Speed. This is a card that I rated pretty highly in my review. I think this card's actually pretty fun and pretty cool, but it's just not played anywhere. And I think that's fair. It is a 2 for 5, which does hurt the brute bottom line. Even in OGKO, which is where I thought this card would get played, it's just not. It gets go again if it has 6 or more power, which is really easy in this deck because you have Might tokens from your glove and an Alpha Instinct, and you have all the pumps in your deck, but the card itself isn't just good enough. This specifically, though, is tech against Gravy Bones. Gravy Bones is a tough matchup for Club Rhinar. Not so much this Rhinar, because we can just kill them. But if they do play Chum, we need a way to deal with Chum. And this is just the easiest way to do it. If they go Chum, we go, okay, that you swung at me with Chum most likely. We'll block Glove 6, and then we'll throw Flex Speed, which will be 6 at the Chum, to just get it off the board. Because if we ever have a turn we play a Blood Rush Bellow or a Bonebreaker Bellow or whatever else, they activate Chum, now we have to swing into the Chum. So we just don't get any value at all, so we went for the Flex Speed. This could be Zealous Belting instead, this could be Enlightened Strike instead, but because Flex Speed is a brute card, we're opting for the Flex Speed. And that is going to be it. You could play Bear Destruction and run Roughshod if you really wanted to, but I really don't like Bear Destruction in this deck. I think it's a way better KO card than it is a Rhinar card, mainly because it can't pump up your weapon. Run Roughshod, I don't mind as much because it can be a 1 for 5 that comes in after, you know, your whole turn, but it's just not needed if you're not on the Bear Destruction. But with all that said, that is going to be the end of the video. I tried to make this one a little fast because I did have to re-record this. So hopefully it's not messed up again and I can actually upload this one. I will be at Worlds, hopefully all 3 days. Well, I guess 4. I'm not going to be there Thursday. That is goes up because that's not any playing. But I will be there hopefully all 3 playing days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So if you are there, hopefully I will see you. But again, with all that, I hope you all enjoyed the video. I hope you all have a good weekend if you're going to Worlds. And I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.